Take your picture if you'd like that. If you'll take off.
Thank you.
Here's Peter and I ready to start the Milford Track, and the track's just behind us there. That's 52 kilometers, 52 or 58?
58.
58 kilometers of hard trekking.
And we're up for it.
Minutes off the boat and you're down the path and over at Glade House. Doesn't take very long and it's an easy day to start. Here we find Peter in the room already, and it's lovely with a beautiful view, and you're on ensuite bathroom. Couldn't ask for more. So I'm taking a little minute to walk down to the water. We're going to be on a nature walk at about 3 o'clock, so they give you half an hour to settle, get unpacked, and then you grab your poles, your water bottles, and they take you on a nature track. Isn't this amazing? There's the lodge back there. Everybody settling in.
It normally starts snowing. It can snow any time of year up there. Anyway, down to below 1,000 meters even. At the pass up there, the pass, that's about 1,300 meters high.
So here we are at the top of the nature track, and we went up a creek that's similar, well, a lot smaller than this, but just as beautiful. To arrive here, and then Peter, he made it up to the top all in one day. So we started our walk today, and it's going to be 5 or 6 hours, and we had a great breakfast. Everything is so organized, and had, oh, good 10 hours sleep.
Well, here we are in the pristine forest of Milford Track, where the moss only grows where there's no pollution. And we're surrounded by water which is the freshest you could get anywhere on the planet.
So far, it's been pretty easy. It's a pretty easy climb. It is a long climb in that it's a good, we're already 9 kilometers into it. But it is beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. So we're taking a little sidetrack off into the wetlands. Apparently the wetlands walk is supposed to be beautiful. It's only a couple of minutes down the track. So as you can see, it's beautiful. The path is up behind me. You can see Peter up there on a bridge. And yeah, the landscape is just so dramatic, just gorgeous. It's a little bit demanding today, but tomorrow's going to be even more demanding as we go up higher in the mountain. Now to about 11.5 kilometers and having a ball. It's beautiful. Highly recommended. So what you do is you pack your lunch the morning before, and we just had lunch. That was about 11 kilometers, no, probably 10 kilometers in by a river, and it's gorgeous. We saw some eels and some trout, and of course eating on the path as we go. So we're on to our last little bit, which is only about another 5 kilometers. There's Peter in the background doing really well, and this is called Hidden Lake. Apparently it was formed when an avalanche trapped some of the lake, or the river, the free-flowing river, and of course because it had nowhere to go, it became a hidden lake. And you can see a beautiful waterfall behind me. Because it hasn't rained for a while, although the rain looks like it's coming, the waterfalls are a lot smaller than they would be during, let's say, the wet season. That, folks, is how they get in supplies. underneath the helicopter. They fly into each of the guest houses. So there you go, you can see it there. And he is heading right up to the top, I believe, over in that pass over there, far corner, which is where we're heading up tomorrow.
Two-thirds of the way through day 2. It's been quite demanding, crossing rivers and streams and over logs and so forth. But the scenery is amazing, and the food at the other end will be great.
The terrain has changed quite a bit now. It's opened up. We still have the river on our right, which is over there, and the mountains with the avalanche area above on the left. And we're 16 kilometers down the road and on our final leg. This is what remains after an avalanche. It's like almost like a man-made clearing, but of course it's just an avalanche. It takes everything in its path. We have to go, well, we have to follow the orange poles across the avalanche street, I guess they call it. Here we are finally at Pomona Lodge, and it's been a long hike. I don't mind telling you, across those avalanches was really difficult. We're about to start day 3, and today it's rainy as you'd expect on the mountain, which means we're going to have tremendous waterfalls. You can see some of the waterfalls behind me there. It's an early start. We've had an early breakfast and we're heading out at 7:30. It's the same distance as yesterday, only it's a lot harder because we're going up and down the mountain, and apparently the hardest part is going down the mountain. And as we'll see here, Peter is dressed for the mountain, and I'll show you what he's wearing. So Peter's putting on his cover for his backpack because it's going to be raining. He's got his gaiters on. Don't know if you can see that down there, to make sure that the water doesn't get into his boots. He's also putting on his raincoat, and it's all about layers, of course. And this is the room that we had this evening. It was wonderful. Great views and also great sleep. As you can see, we're trumping along in the dark. Looks darker than it is, but there's enough light to see the rocks. The walk today is quite a bit different. It's a lot more rocky terrain, a lot more fording of brooks, and a lot more mud, of course, because of the rain. There's Peter. We're going to pass him by. Take the front for a little bit, but it's still just as beautiful. It's quite wet today, but not cold. Yeah, so a few layers and no gloves, but maybe some gaiters so you don't get water in your boots, but fantastic. So a lot of the terrain is quite rocky and challenging, straight up over rocks. And then of course, what goes up must come down. Unfortunately, the rain ruined my audio on this track, but I was saying that it took hours to get down in the rain through fording streams, and at this point, Peter's still not down the mountain after 5 hours. Again, the audio isn't working here, but I'm saying that day 4 it's fairly flat, and we're really looking forward to the final day of trekking. So we're off and racing. It's an early start. It's 7:30 in the morning, and to our delight, the path is very smooth. It's supposed to be pretty flat all day. We're starting to come out of the mountain, out of the tree line, or the mountainous tree line, and onto an easier track, and there goes Peter down the hill, and yeah, we should be on the valley floor all day today. I believe I believe that is what we climbed yesterday, and it is impressive and very, very high.
It's not going to be that easy for you. Whatever works. That works. Good, good, good.
So we've been walking for 3 hours, and we've gotten to the mid-morning stop at the boat shed here, and we don't hear anybody, but there might be inside. It's a pretty easy walk, pretty much like this path, except for the waterfall, the waterways, and a few rocks, but pretty easy. Well, we're probably about 4 hours into our 8-hour walk, and vistas like this just are stunning. I mean, really, it's just glorious.
They said they're both independent walkers and...
Unfortunately, the audio didn't work here. However, what I'm saying is we had to hoof it for the last hour of our journey, as the boat that left from the Milford Track left at 4 o'clock. And we had an hour to get there no matter how many kilometers we had to go. And it made the last part of the journey a bit tougher. At the end of the day, these signposts, which have the measurements on them, become your best friend. So I now know I have got 1.1 kilometers to go. Yay! What I have enjoyed about this whole trek, the Milford Trek, is how pristine it is, how tranquil it is. There's not a skerrick of garbage anywhere. The water you can drink from the streams, everything's pristine. It's the last 1 kilometer to go, and I am reveling in the silence, just the birds. And I'm trying to remember that this has been such a wonderful experience. Hard, very hard. There's certainly some pain and some endurance involved, but yeah, world-class memories. And this is it, I hope. The end of the Milford Track. My feet are burning on fire. So I'm hoping, beyond hope, that this is the end of the trek. I powered the last few kilometers because my legs seem to enjoy the stretch, and I'm hoping to catch Peter when he comes down the trek so that he can be shot on video finishing the Milford Sound to Milford Sound. That's the Milford Trek, 52 kilometers, and you made it, Peter! Woo! Well done.
Good time.
Well done.
And we cut 15 minutes off their time.
So you made it. What do you think?
The hardest thing I've ever done. My boots are full of water and have been for 2 days. I was almost blown off a mountain. A 2-hour trip down took 5 hours clambering over rocks downhill in the rain. But we've done it. My wife and I have done it, and it's a huge, huge achievement. And we beat 15 minutes off the time for the last sector on the last day to get here now. Onwards and upwards.
Unfortunately, the soundtrack didn't work here once again, but what I'm saying is we're in Milford Sound at Mitre Peak Lodge, surrounded by beautiful mountains, and have the opportunity to reflect on our recent journey and how hard it was and how beautiful it was and how proud we were to have done it together. Now we're all going to jump on a boat and look at the beautiful Milford Sound on a cruise with all the rest of the hikers.
Okay, we're on the second half of our cruise through Milford Sound, and over here you can see some of the big peaks that we have. We've just gone past Mitre Peak, which is the largest one, and we've gone past a waterfall 3 times higher than Niagara Falls. So over here, we head down the Sound, and then we go back to our berth. It's unbelievably spectacular and wild country, worth every second.
Rather than take the bus 5 hours to Queenstown, we chose to take the helicopter, which was a much more exciting idea. This is an itinerary of the Milford Track, and this is the day 1, which is Queenstown to Glade House. It says here's only 1.6 kilometers, and it should take 20 minutes. This is day 2, Glade House to Pompalona Lodge, 16 kilometers and should take you 5 to 7 hours. They describe it as a wide, flat track, but it is your first day out, and it is quite long. And by the end, you're quite tired and happy to see the lodge when you get the other end. This is day 3 of your trek, Pompalona Lodge to Quinton Lodge. It's 15 kilometers and 6 to 8 hours. It is the hardest part of your hike or your trek, and it's quite steep, an uphill zigzag path all the way to the top to McKinnon Pass. And as you saw in our video, it can be quite wet and windy, and when it's raining, all the waterfalls are full, so you have to ford streams on your way down, which will slow you down. It's quite slippery, and you must be very careful on this stage of the journey if it's raining. This is day 4. It's fairly flat the whole way. It's 21 kilometers and 6 to 7 hours. You're going from Quinton Lodge to Mitre Peak Lodge, and it's more about endurance because it is a long way, and you do have to meet the boat at the other end. So keep your pace up as the last boat leaves at 4 o'clock. Day 5 is all about cruising the Milford Sound and finally making your way back to Queenstown, where you'll be finishing your Milford Sound trek and congratulating yourself on your big effort.